travel isn't just about destinations. It's about the people you meet, the cultures you immerse yourself in, the stories you carry home. I'm Relebogile Mabocha, and on my travel feature, I take you on a journey beyond the guidebook. Each week, I connect with fellow travelers, insiders, and storytellers to bring you the heart of every place. Whether it's a hidden gem right here in South Africa or a dream destination abroad. Join me as we travel through conversations, memories, and inspiration. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Burning questions.
Insightful answers.
Listener's Choice.
With Clement Manyathela.
Time now for our Listener's Choice feature. Today we're discussing AI hallucinations in law, right? Artificial intelligence tools are becoming more and more integrated in society, but also they're raising some concerns in the legal profession. Legal authorities in South Africa are now sounding alarm after judges in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal found that legal practitioners had submitted court papers referencing entirely fictitious case law generated by AI. Even the Legal Practice Council is warning that such conduct, whether it's deliberate or not, could amount to misleading the court, and one of the most serious offenses really in the legal profession. So incidents like this are referred to as AI hallucinations. So hallucinations are when you've got artificial tools generating convincing but entirely false legal case law. So are you in the legal profession? How do you use AI? Have you found yourself in this situation before? Give us a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. 011-883-0702 is the number you can dial. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Azhar Aziz-Ismail is the chairperson of the Johannesburg Attorneys Association on behalf of the Law Society of South Africa and joins us on the line. Azhar, thank you so much for making time. Hi.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
So, I tried to explain what AI hallucinations are in the legal context. You are the lawyer. Help us understand what are they and why is it that we've got lawyers that have found themselves citing these non-existent case laws?
Thank you so much. So I think the first thing to understand is when it comes to AI hallucinations, we sometimes work under the misapprehension, generally as people, that the tools that we have give us the correct information. Now, what happens with artificial intelligence, and particularly generative AI, is it's not going to admit to you in that chatbot that, listen, I don't know what the answer is, right? But it's going to try and impress you. And out of thin air, it creates, like you mentioned, the most convincing arguments or pieces of information. And that is the hallucination. And in the legal context, some examples are it creates case law that doesn't exist, so it will create the name of cases that don't exist, or it might have parts of the name correctly. So if, for example, someone told you to look for the Mavundla case, right, and you ask generative AI for it, it will say Mavundla versus Radio 702. You wouldn't know the better if you didn't know what you're looking for. Yeah. And sometimes you get the citations correct, but then the interpretation is completely fabricated and inaccurate. So we're seeing this happening because there is a trust in the tools that people have, but what we don't have is an understanding of what the tools are there for, what strengths are, and also an acknowledgement of where the weaknesses of those tools lie.
Yeah. How serious is this issue, though? We've had two recent cases in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal where lawyers submitted these false case citations generated by AI. How serious is the issue, and what are the potential consequences for legal practitioners who engage in this practice?
So this is extremely serious. And like you mentioned, those two recent cases in KwaZulu-Natal was the Mavundla judgment, and in Gauteng was northbound processing cases. And before that, at the match court level last year, we had another case called Parker versus Forsyth. And this is not only a South Africa problem, it's a problem that we're seeing all over the world. And in these cases, this is one sort of form of problems of using AI in law, but lawyers submitted fictitious cases and citations generated by AI to the court. And this not only undermines our court processes, but it also erodes public trust in the legal profession. Yeah. And where this is extremely problematic as well, is the courts have came correctly so to say that all citations generated by AI must be thoroughly verified before use. As lawyers, we've got a duty to make sure that we are not misrepresenting the court. And that misrepresentation to the court could result in misconduct. And the consequences of that are extremely grave. And this is not only the stance locally in South Africa. I mean, we've had the case law in South Africa, but across the world, in the US, the UK, and everywhere that we're seeing where cases like this are taking place, the stance is clear. If you should not be using this case law without verifying and doing your due diligence, and otherwise you will be misleading the court, and each jurisdiction has different ways of dealing with this misconduct.
Okay. So are there any guidelines, though, or frameworks in place to help legal professionals navigate the ethical use of AI tools?
So at present, in South Africa at least, there's no formal binding or guidelines for lawyers in using AI in legal practice. However, the Law Society of South Africa is actively working to address this gap, and the Law Society is in the process of establishing an AI committee who is going to be charged with developing guidelines for lawyers aligned with local and international best practices, looking at case law, but also looking at an African approach to AI and the South African approach to AI, because that's something that's quite important. But until these are in place, legal practitioners should rely on well-established best standards that the courts have alluded to as well. And if I could just take a moment to sort of share what some of the things that lawyers should be doing when using AI. Now, this obviously is an interpretation from the Mavudla judgment, but a few things that must be done, because the court did not say don't use AI, but there are certain expectations. The first thing is verification of information. All information or citations that are generated must be verified by legal practitioners. And aligned with the verification comes something separate called due diligence. If the case exists, you need to do due diligence to review the accuracy of the information presented by that AI tool, and you need to make sure that its interpretation is correct. There are other things that can be done, that must be done. Lawyers have a duty per our code of conduct to supervise our staff and our junior lawyers. But there is an argument to be made that supervision should also extend to the inputs and outputs on our AI tools. We must comply with ethical standards of the legal profession, because the legal profession has these high standards of integrity and diligence. There needs to be transparency, whether you're using AI internally within your firm or transparency also externally with your clients. You need to tell your clients, listen, I am using generative AI, but you know what, these are the guardrails and safety techniques that I'm taking to ensure that we're verifying information. So putting the comfort and trust in the use of AI. It must be used responsibly as a skeleton and as a starting point, but not the sole purpose and basis of legal work. And a big one is the confidentiality and data privacy and data protection, because we've got legal privilege, we've got confidentiality that we must align to. And because of all of these factors, law firms should actually look to create and develop policies around how to use AI, as opposed to banning the use of AI and then people going incognito and trying to use AI on their own irresponsibly.
Yeah. All right, it's 23 minutes after 11 o'clock. After the break, I'd like to hear from you. If you are in the legal profession, how do you use AI? Are what does responsible use of AI look like in the legal practice? How do you strike that balance between encouraging innovation, but also ensuring there's ethical conduct that is maintained? You can send a WhatsApp voice notes on 0727021702 or give me a call 011-883-0702.
Over the years, you've heard me ask Wealth Manager Warren Ingram the big questions. How do we invest wisely? How do we protect our family's future? All those conversations, that entire library of financial expertise is now available as a podcast. Straightforward advice to help you build your wealth on demand. Just search for Warren Ingram's Personal Finance wherever you get your podcasts.
Burning questions.
Insightful answers.
Listener's choice.
With Clement Manyathela.
26 minutes after 11 o'clock, we're discussing AI hallucinations in law. There are a few cases that have come up where lawyers are using case law that is fictitious, non-existent, that is generated by AI. What are the consequences? What are the limitations? How do you balance the use of AI with just ethical conduct and making sure that that is maintained? Advocate Matsiza, you're calling us from Johannesburg. Good morning.
Hi, how are you, Clement?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Yes. Clement, you see, the artificial intelligence and legal profession, I don't think they can ever go well, because the decided cases are mostly written, and at first one reliable source will be Safely for that matter, because and then that's where most of the reported cases that one can refer to can go to. Secondly, one can approach each and every court that we use in South Africa have got libraries. You can even approach the library, because the legal practice is not artificial on its own. It is all about the personal intellect. You need to embrace the intellect that the person brings. But if one is going to rely there, it's not going to work. What I normally do is I would carry my books to court, and then I will also make sure that I have got my data and then my router, and make sure that I research through Safely the reliable sources where I will get the case that I can also refer to the judge and even come up with a citation. But these citations that are going to be used, we are going to breed lawyers who are not going to be able to argue before a court of law, and then that is going to cause disservice to the client. It's just going to be a chaos. So we need to, as well as we need to rely on reliable sources like your Safely, and then there are a lot of them. It's just that Safely is the one that is mostly used, and then the Constitutional Court have got its own website wherein you can go and download the case laws and read there. There's one popular case law of they call it, I know it offhand, it's Erven 87 and 88. It's there. It's something that you can go and upload and read. So we have got these people who think that you can Google law and then just go on the Google and said, what should happen if Clement insulted me? And then there's Wikipedia, which will tell you, okay, if Clement have insulted you, you can do this and this. Sometimes it's the laws that are applied in other countries and not in the Republic. So we have
to be careful.
We have to be careful on the sources that we use. So AI is not for lawyers. As a lawyer, and if you're using AI, I would say you are a bad lawyer, and then you don't deserve to
I don't want a lawyer representing me using AI on its own. Advocate, I don't know. I think I'd say thanks, but no thanks. But yeah, as Azhar has said, I mean, the technology evolves. At some point, we need to learn to embrace the responsible use of AI. Even in legal practice. I've got some messages here coming through. Paul says, hi, Clement. I'm a deceased estate administrator, and I only use AI for grammar when sending out emails to clients. For some reason, I can notice when an L&D has been drafted using AI. That's a message there from Paul. Another one says, hi, Clement. I used AI to dispute a rejection claim, LOL. Long story short, I went through 3 stages of the dispute stages quoting AI, and my matter was about to sit in a committee when the legal department of the insurer called and advised that the regulation I'm arguing under doesn't exist. To my defense, I did hire a lawyer to go through my argument. They advised that I had legal grounds, and we proceeded with the dispute, but the claim was still rejected based on local regulation. When I researched further, AI had used an American regulation for my argument, but even the lawyer didn't pick it up. Lucky for me, the insurer settled out of committee out of compassion for my claim. Jeez, yeah. As you've said, sometimes AI will pick up some cases that are not even on our local regulations. Just last question someone has, Azhar, who says they are a young lawyer who could make a genuine mistake when using AI. What would be your advice, especially to young lawyers, as they consider this?
I think for young lawyers, the key thing is to always verify and check your information. And also, it's how you use the tool and what tools are there. I mean, I've been listening to some of those comments that have been coming through, which are quite interesting. And it's all down to the type of technology, what are the strengths of the AI platform that you're using, how you prompt it. The way that artificial intelligence works is what you put in is what you get out. If you give it a very basic prompt, it's going to search the entire world and give you things from everywhere, and it's going to make you think it's relevant to you. But if you really refine and spend time in crafting a prompt, it's like a science or an art, you can really extract that information that's for you. But ultimately, AI is not here to replace you as a lawyer. You should not be using this as a shortcut. You should not be using it for excuse. So for not only for young lawyers, but for lawyers in general, when we do use this, you need to make sure that you follow these basic principles that, one, you understand the technology that you're using. Two, you're prompting it really strongly. Three, when that output comes in, it's not only about now just running wild with it and using it as it is. You still need to, like the advocate mentioned earlier, you have to have that legal mind that goes onto it, that human legal mind that applies to it, amend it, build onto it, verify, fact check. Those things does happen. The purpose of AI is just to help you be a lot more quicker and efficient in delivering quality.
Azhar Aziz-Ismail, thank you for making time for us, Chairperson of the Johannesburg Attorneys Association on behalf of the Law Society of South Africa.